a number of things that I've heard from people in the Pentagon, that the buzzword in the secret of secrets in the Pentagon is the Sumerian gods are returning, and that's what they're referring to as that whole area that Peter's
Wow.
Can you repeat that again, just in case anybody missed it? The buzzword
in the Pentagon, in the the military circles that are in the know about the cover-up here, they kind of in whisper tones talk about the return of the Sumerian gods, and they're talking about the what we would call aliens or fallen angels returning into the Middle East, into Old Sumer area.
The Anunnaki.
At that time, I didn't know.
What do you think
we
now?
have been in touch with the Anunnaki.
Okay. And are you aware of the Clark McClelland sort of testimony that talks about, this very, very tall spaceman do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So that was an Anunnaki, right?
Say again?
That was an Anunnaki. That was supposedly, Clark McClelland always said that he saw this very large, tall being instructing a couple of our astronauts on the television screen.
Mm-hmm.
That was.
Well, if the beings he's talking of were almost like black Africans, yeah.
There is one image there that shows black people getting off.
So people with dark skin getting off.
Dark black.
Black skin.
Really black.
Were they tall? Very tall. How tall? Do you know?
Well, they got up to the
Well, what?
safe 7 feet would be.
Have you heard about Clark McClelland?
يتوفر في أجواء ذي قار هو أجواء إيجابية، بمعنى أن السومريين لما استقروا في هذه الأرض كانوا يعلمون تماما أن هذه الأرض بأجواءها هي أجواء ملائمة للتحليق في الفضاءات، وكان من هنا تنطلق المركبات الفضائية السومرية نحو الكواكب الأخرى. والسومريين أول من اكتشف الكوكب رقم 12 الذي اعترفت به وكالة نازل الفضاء قبل بضعة أيام، والذي أطلقوا عليه نيبيرو، ويدور حول الشمس ب 3600 سنة كل دورة.
So as a representative of the gods, the king ought to be protected by them, and what we find in these reliefs are also gods and genies who are there to protect the palace and to protect the king. The genies are just protective supernatural figures in general. They're below the divine role of a god, but they're still a supernatural protective figure. So amongst those, 2 reliefs that were placed on both sides of a door represent 2 genies and 1 god. So here what we see first is Anu𒀭, the hairy one. He has 3 big locks of hair, and he's in a very tranquil position. He's guarding everything that is good inside the palace. Then in the middle we see Anu𒀭. This is a great lion. He's holding a dagger going towards the person entering the palace, and in front of him we have a god because he's wearing this tiara with 3 pairs of horns, and this shows his divinity, and he's there in the same aggressive position as the Anu𒀭. The Anu𒀭, the hairy one, he's there to keep all the good things in the whereas the 2 other ones, the Anu𒀭 and the house god, are there to keep everything bad or any bad influences or malevolent intentions outside of the palace.
So what I was saying is that 7th layer within the middle of our earth is actually the sun that the west wind used to correct Tiamat, which is now earth, because of the whole thing with Nibiru bumping into Tiamat. Yeah. So it's showing now the Grand Canyon, and the reason why the Grand Canyon was created was because of that whole ordeal with Nibiru and all those other ships with the west wind causing a destruction when it was off its orbit. So to continue, it says belt creating the inner and outer planets. The inner planets were Mumbu, Mercury, Anu𒀭, Venus, Ki, Earth, Sheski, Moon, and Anu𒀭, Mars. The outer planets were Kishar, Jupiter, Anshar, Saturn, whose planet is Titan, Anu, Uranus, Ea, or A, I don't know if I'm pronouncing any of this right, Neptune. And now 3 satellites launched off of Nibiru, creating a tetrahedron of energy at a 19.5 degree angle around the new half of Tiamat. So you guys were correcting me, and I think I pronounced that right. Let me know. With a hole through it and a smaller sun, also called Anu𒀭, was placed inside of Tiamat's center. Now, this newly formed planet, Tiamat, now called Ki, was trapped in its orbit, protected by forces, by the guidance of these ships while she healed herself. This 600-mile diameter sun called Apsu traveled through the great hole called the Ibis for a distance of 3,903 miles to the center of the half of the planet Tiamat, which the west wind bore a hole through, was now called Ki. So, it was indeed one of the satellites of Nibiru called winds from Maldik that crashed into Tiamat, and also the evil wind tore into the center, exploded, and gauged out a large hollow space in the center of Tiamat. So maybe that's the beginning of when Earth became hollow and became a livable land for other extraterrestrial creatures in the middle of our Earth. That's why when scientists say that the 7th layer of Earth is like a ball of lava, that's the sun to the middle of the Earth. And the west wind became a tremendous 600-mile diameter sun. So maybe, yeah, that's it right there. The sun is in the middle of the Earth for Angartha, which is the name of the middle of the Earth. But we'll get to that. This is what I'm talking about. So this is the middle of the Earth. This is the rest of the Earth's surface. And these are the multiple entrances into the middle of the Earth. So that central sun is the 7th layer of Earth. So this is the North and South Pole. And this is the ocean. That's why people haven't gone that deep into the ocean. So they have just 2 small holes in the nose area. Their mouths are a slit without lips. The troglodytes are hairless and have no teeth. The troglodytes' hands have 4 webbed fingers and no thumb. The troglodytes live totally underwater in great cities with many great biologists. 4 ships equipped with high explosive creative of plutonium from Maldik, Starfleet called Ninga, managed to escape Maldik as Nubiru passed by and followed Anu𒀭's path. Because they live underwater, if the planet sped up, it wouldn't infect them. However, it was daylight, so most of the beings came on land. All of the beings that could have negotiated were dead. The only beings that survived were the ones under the sea, which were the military and the warriors who were looking for a chance to fight anyway. Nubiru had no way of contacting the beings of Maldik to let them know that it was an accident and not an attack. Telepathic communication was forbidden to prevent interference by other telepathic disagreements. This was because the Maldikans were not a part of an interplanetary confederation. Their Starfleet of warriors, a group of reptilians who bore the symbol of a reptile, who called themselves Ninga, launched an attack. Thinking the planet Maldik had been attacked, 4 fighter ships of Ninga launched out. And these crafts from Maldik, as it went off its orbit into the universe, attacked with the intentions of destroying Nubiru. Nubiru put up its 4 magnetic force fields and destabilized the 4 attacking ships. Nubiru created the magnetic cube called Kaaba. These 4 great ships called... Okay, so this is Nubiru veering off of its orbit. This is Nubiru right here. This is the planet Maldik. And as you can see, it says this is the original path. But instead, it went this way after hitting the planet Maldik. This is Earth, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Pluto, Mercury, Neptune. These are the 4 ships that... This is the planet Neptune, and this is the ship Nibiru. Somebody told me that's how it's pronounced. Anyways, it shows its new path after it hit Neptune. And yeah. There you go at the bottom. And this is it moving from the planet Maldik. These are how Maldikans look, and they live on this planet right here. So the fleet moved on as 4 powerful winds were trapped by Nibiru's force field and unable to break loose. Maldik is now referred to as the Lost Planet. The 4 fighter ships of the Ninga fleet are called the North Wind, South Wind, East Wind, and West Wind. These 4 fighter ships that originally surrounded Nibiru and appeared to launch an attack were now trapped, Nibiru making one complete spin threw them off into space. The great ship Nibiru activated its 4 magnetic force fields, incapacitating the ship. All of their controls and equipment ceased to function. A force field was put up and they were trapped in the environment of Nibiru. And its new wobbly satellites were caught in the Nibiru's gravitational pull and began to circle, making 4 whirlwinds. Nibiru immediately launched 2 ships to return to Eloh to inform the elders of the incident in case of the need for assistance. Nibiru proceeded on moving counterclockwise from the planets in the solar system. Nibiru pulled in towards Anshar, which means foremost of the heavens, now called Saturn, and kissed off of the planet, which caused Nibiru to veer off its own orbit. The orbit that Nibiru was originally on was a 25,920-year orbit called AMOM. It shifted into a new orbit of 30 and 600 years called Shar. Then Nibiru bounced off the planet Titan that surrounds Anshar, which is Saturn, and sped up its motion.
Okay, so ISIS apparently decided to take pictures of themselves destroying Sumerian artifacts, Sumerian being Anunnakis. Now, that's really weird because obviously it's something that they really wanted us to see. But real artifacts from Sumeria, not the fake ones that look real in the museum. So why would ISIS do all that? They probably didn't. It probably was the Black Ops destroying evidence. It was actually the Black Ops doing it, secret Black Ops, to destroy evidence of the Anunnaki. Now, even the people that worked in the museum said that when the ISIS came in, they actually only stole. I can't see why that would have affected them, whether or not Anunnakis were here or not. But eyewitnesses have said that these ISIS people had headphones on, headsets on, and people were saying that
خليل الرحمن إلى فضة في عقر ديارهم ولنكس هذه الأرض فكلما تمكنا من بقعة أرض أزلنا نبي الله إبراهيم دماء الكافرين لها حقوق فلا تسمع فتاوى من أناس دعوا بالعلم وازدادوا فسادا دماء المسلمين تراق ظلما وهم يرمون للباب أو زنادا فلا تسمع فتاوى من أناس وازدادوا فسادا فمالي لا أرى في اجتهادا سوى ما كان سيفا أو زنادا.
I find myself with friends and family, and that we were trying to, figure out what we could do, and that's when the beings from the craft appeared to us. And what tripped me out is that they were all black people, and they said that we.
This is no ordinary sighting of an unidentified flying object. These pictures, taken over a 6-month period in Gulf Breeze, Florida, are the most spectacular evidence of UFOs ever gathered. While some say the photos are...
And halfway out over the bay, and so I've never seen anything like that. There were portholes. We saw portholes of light coming out of the portholes.
The man who took these pictures insists on remaining anonymous, so we'll call him Jim. They're fakes. That would not explain the fact that more than 20 people have reported seeing these objects on the very same nights. Charles Summerby describes what he saw in the skies.
No sound. There was no veering. It was a straight course.
This calculated the object was hovering about 3 feet off the ground. Photography experts say such a picture would be virtually impossible to fake.
Shooting out of the windshield of the car, through the windshield of the car,
to like it was asleep, but even worse, and then you don't have any feeling at all. I proceeded to panic.
Forced off the road, Jim fumbled with the camera, managing to snap this one dramatic picture. A noted optical physicist, he had a narrator read a transcript of our interview. Jim says his most threatening encounter with the UFOs occurred on this road. He says an object swooped over his car.
I got it now. Whoa. That's it, man. That's it.
Calculated the object was hovering about 3 feet off the ground. Photography experts say such a picture would be virtually impossible to fake.
Shooting out of the windshield of the car, through the windshield of the car, and being able to reproduce this object down the road, reflecting on the surface of the road, I feel would be very difficult to do.
I see trees. They have reference points. This thing takes off. There's no kind of video. Yeah. Take that out. Killer. Just focus. Check that out. Check that out. It's right over the bay. Hope we can see reference points in this video. I'm telling you. Man, did you see it blink off? Oh, killer, man. We got it, man. That thing's for real. Just finding crap. There it is. Come on, focus.
Citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror. A series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. Without freedom and opportunity in the world, and no one will keep that light from shining. Today our nation saw evil, freedom, and opportunity in the world, and no one will keep.
Book that I was reading about the Anunnaki, and it's pretty much talking about how they had to come and help replenish Earth. I guess Earth was in a bad state, and this is the ship or UFO that they used to travel. Now, a few days after I finished reading this book, I came across this TikTok account that allegedly has photos of NASA's hard drive apparently allegedly somebody leaked NASA's hard drive, and there was all these pictures of these UFOs and these extraterrestrials and things like that. Now I want y'all to take a good look at this UFO. It looks just like a crown. Now pay close attention to the bottom and how the bottom is lit up, okay? Pay close attention to that. Now before I show y'all this UFO, look at the title of this document. It's kind of cropped out, but you can tell it literally says Great Awakening. Now y'all tell me what this UFO look like. Does that not look like the picture that oh, okay. I don't know.
All right, so you know all the stuff about the Draco reptilians, what they look like. Well, this is the main face of them, or what they usually try to profess themselves to be. Now, this is not the only color, size, or fixture. Most reptilians are above at least about 9 governors or kings onto different planets, and those governors and kings have their own fleets and their own ships that serve the emperor, which I don't know who the emperor is. No one has ever talked about him yet. And basically, he's the king of Earth, and he controls the entire Illuminati through this category of the white albino race of reptilian Dracos, and there are many other different colors among the Dracos and different shades and styles, and they're an empire spanning across our entire galaxy and beyond, and they set up feet tall, and some of them go to 15 feet tall. Now, he's just a major, look, and this is the king of Earth. His name is Pendar. That's what he looks like, a white royal draconian. There are many like him that live on Earth and live in other parts of the solar system / galaxy and beyond. Now, they're not the head of the empire. They're just head government of Earth. And I'll explain here how. That's Pendar. That's how you spell his name. And this is the Council of 30. All right, so this is part 2 / part 3 of the Draco Reptilian Empire. Now, we talked about in the last video, this is Pendar, and there are many different members of Pendar's specific group of white royal Draco reptilians.
Those that are left behind when these Zodaqeen are being taken or taught will be in such a disarray, meaning the reptilians will take over. Many of the species of
Gates is one of them. They all breed with each other. That's how they get so powerful and keep themselves in power. And this is the round table, the think tank, and the resources, financials, and that's how the empire works. And this is what reptilians use as loosh. That's basically the 13 bloodlines, such as Rothschilds and Rockefeller and etc. And this is the Committee of 300, which is another set of families, 300 different families, and many of them are breed within each other. And
those who stayed on the ship Nibiru will use the 4 winds crafts and hurl fire to earth to wipe out the Messiah. They will return as King of Kings and descend to a mountain, and the reptilians will try to climb the mount to battle you. But the Igigi reptilians are carnivorous, meat eaters. They love human flesh. Once the 144,000 returns with Tammuz, who you call an armada of 7 warcrafts, accompanying the planet ship Nibiru, Maulana, etc., to explain to you how, when, by what means, and for what purpose are Caucasians going to the heavens, being as the Pope, cardinals, bishops, priests, reverends, pastors, preachers, rabbis, kohanes, imams. Moreover, is the extermination of the entire race of the Canaanite Caucasian beastmen. Holy Quran 20:102. Now, size-wise, they are all larger than the planet Earth. In that fleet, there is a special group of 19 beings whose expressed purpose UFO sightings are now rampant. Worldwide, everyday occurrences. These are flesh-eating predators from other star systems. Here, as hunters exotic creatures and animals on safari, or agreeable or disagreeable scientists and geneticists from other galaxies who are marking their territories just like all predators do. They are looking for test subjects, for genetic engineering, or for bizarre experimentation, or abundant food supply for their star systems, or for slaves or just trophies. Once the man gently be released with their children, this physical realm would be up for grabs. A first come, first serve, free for all grab, because time would be of the essence. A winner takes all grab, and all you can eat, smorgasbord, and a merciless, unencumbered, savage bloodbath. Do you get the picture? Then here comes the meteorite showers, and the mad rush to get off the surface of the planet with their bounty before the showers hit. Those that escape being captured will be totally annihilated by the purging fires. If you think this is a joke, then go ahead and laugh while you can. Your underground bunkers and your primitive weaponry would be no match, useless, against their advanced laser technologies and their advanced tunneling, teleportation, and interdimensional technologies. There will be no safe zone or ultimate protection, because you will be attempting to cheat nature, King Kong. Wishful thinking. The law is for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. There are no amendments to the nature's laws. You can forget that. Enough ranting and raving. Now let's return to the materialization.
It is a giant command and control center that has kept America safe for 50 years. Inside the mountain are 15 2- and 3-story buildings. They are freestanding but connected by hallways and ramps. There is also a service area to keep the complex running, and even reservoirs, yes, underground lakes. You get inside by driving through a 2-mile tunnel, and when you get to the middle, you see the doors. The 2 famous blast doors that have kept the facility safe when they're closed. The door to this building weighs 25 tons and runs on hydraulics. It's usually open all the time, but if it is closed, then there's a problem.
I mean, obviously Cheyenne Mountain was built to survive and endure through a nuclear event, and all of us hope that never happens.
The buildings behind those doors were built on 1,300 giant springs that can move independently if there's an explosion or earthquake. But they wouldn't break apart. And that's important because of what goes on inside those buildings. In control rooms like this one, which was set up just for us, experts keep an eye on possible threats. Everything from missile launches around the world to 23,000 objects in space. It includes satellites, the International Space Station, and lots of space junk. The original tenant, NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, is now headquartered at nearby Peterson Air Base, but it still has a command center here in case it's needed.
On the day that you hope never happens, the worst day in American history, their plan would be to come up here and operate out of here so that they would have that survivability capability.
As you can imagine, security for the control rooms is pretty tight. Our security escort said he can't even get inside them.
I can only fantasize about what goes on in there. Maybe a lot, maybe little, but whatever it is obviously important. So,
in the buildings underground, there are other facilities for the 300 to 400 workers. There's a cafeteria, appropriately named the Granite Inn. A short Jewish basketball legend. Well, that happens too deep underground.
That's how we do it up here in the mountain.
And since many people are in the mountain for long hours, a little shopette provides all the needed staples.
For elders, they left us Nubians, their children, with everything we would ever wish for, in need of nothing, as rulers and caretakers of the planet Earth. Now, How would you feel if you left your children in a veritable plush mansion? It's not now, in need of nothing. And on returning home after a long, hard journey, your mansion was breached, desecrated, pillaged, and portioned off by barbaric animal, half-human invaders. Your children were taken hostage, drugged, inebriated, downtrodden, enslaved, traumatized, terrorized, groveling their captors for daily bread while being denigrated, labeled, and scorned with the epithet good-for-nothing eaters. Good-for-nothing, useless eaters. Well, this is the backdrop to which the Elohim Anunnaki are returning to planet Earth. Now you would think that the invaders would just drop everything and hightail it out of there on seeing you and your entourage of 7 larger-than-life armored tanks slowly rolling up that long driveway. Hell no! These jokers are just standing there, brandishing their master blaster water guns, defiantly declaring, "This is my house. I will make this house great again." And with arrogant threatenings amongst themselves for possession of your natural resources and for dominance of your home. Whoa, you gotta make fun of these people. The level of arrogance and ignorance to think they can escape by tunneling underground from the very beings who poured out the entire center of planet Earth and placed a 600-mile sun in there. This is no longer funny, people. This is sad. You couldn't make this stuff up. This is no longer funny, people. This is sad. You couldn't make this stuff up.
Camps. I was in the air and I saw countless people all in sideways formation, like stacked, like standing, like side by side by side by side, and rows of them like that. Okay? And they were all wearing these orange suits. They're like prison suits, like what prisoners wear. That. And from afar off, because I was in the air, they all looked like men. And they were all young. I'm sorry. There's not a single old person. There's not a single fat person. There's not a single child. And they all looked like men. And they were all bowing down like Muslims. Bowing down like Muslims. And they were forced to. They had to. I didn't see any black people. I just saw whites. I'm telling you what I saw. I usually would cry after these visions. But this one I started crying in the vision. Because I realized that there's no black people. It's gonna be bad. There's no black people. It's gonna be bad. That's what I want. Thank you for joining me. Now please I beg you to share this video.
People often tell me I'm too young.